Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Happy spoken word Tuesday. You guys know on Tuesdays I like to bring a word. Okay. So today I'm gonna be talking about Jacob's trouble, right? You guys, so many people got Jacob's trouble mixed up, right? Granted, Jacob's trouble is considered one of the curses that we experience due to our ancestors, being disobedient to defy the laws and commandments, right? So, yes, granted, we are going through Jacob's trouble, and Jacob's trouble is part of one of the curses, okay? But so many people, have a pre-notion of Jacob's trouble, and they think that maybe Jacob's trouble considered the war. It just I didn't heard several people, and I noticed that so many people have these different perceptions of Jacob's trouble. But Jacob's trouble is exactly what it is. It is Jacob's trouble, and if you read the Bible thoroughly, then you will understand Jacob's trouble, because the Father says study for self-approval. Now the problem is so many people is reading about Jacob's trouble until they're diagnosing it incorrectly. They're perceiving it the wrong way because they're not taking the time to study for self-approval. But what they're doing is just reading the chapter and going about and coming up with their perception and spitting it out to the world. But that's not true, because Jacob's trouble is clear as day in the Bible. And sometimes we like to mix everything up together, what we already think we know, right? Or what we heard. And then we try to combine it and merge it to one and come out, with our own results or our own conclusion, mixing it up with other parts of the Bible, combining Jacob's trouble with all different kind of eras of times, right? Yeah, okay. Look, we are in the era of time of Jacob's trouble, okay? Yes, Jacob's trouble is considered to be one of our curses due to our ancestors being disobedient to the Father's laws and commandments in the ancient days, okay? However, Jacob's trouble is not like we out there fighting against Esau and Edom and all this stuff, and we in war. That is not Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is a protestification. Jacob's trouble is a rising of a man's loins. Jacob's trouble is the rising of bringing unification together. That is what Jacob's trouble in, right? And right now, today, we are in Jacob's trouble. Of course, you guys see the unification. You guys see the rising. You guys see the protesting, right? Taking place, all for restoration. That is Jacob's trouble, and the Father speaks about it. Like he says in Jeremiah 30, he see every man with his hands on his loins protesting and rising for reunification and unification and restoration, which is Jacob's trouble. But the Father also said that he really prefer for you to come to him, right? He will save us out of it, because that's what we do. We lean on our own understanding as fleshly people, and we go out there and we're trying to fight and protest and, fight for our rights and unify, right? Which is Jacob's trouble. However, the Father would want us to come to him for his trouble, because we put him first. There would be no need for Jacob's trouble. If we would have obeyed his laws and commandments, Jacob's trouble would be inexistent. Right? It will be. Because just like back in the ancient days, remember when Abraham was a child, that's when Israel was a child, that's when the Father loved Israel then, and he was able to be tamed and trained and everything so he can follow laws and commandments, right? So when Israel was a child, that's when the Father loved Israel, okay? That way, Jacob's trouble wasn't around then, because they was following the laws and commandments and the Father loved them. But during a little bit later time, for the descendants, they started going against the Father's laws and commandments, right? So now, here's the visions that the Father give to Jeremiah to let them know what they should expect in the latter days, which is Jacob's trouble due to the disobedience of the ancestors and everything, right? So further down the line, now Jeremiah get this vision of Jacob's trouble, which is the latter days, which is today, which is now what we're experiencing, Jacob's trouble. So you guys, Jacob's trouble can be found in Jeremiah 30, okay? I'm going to read Jeremiah 30, KJV version, okay? And when I get done reading, I'm just going to break it down what it's saying, okay? Now, if you guys are listening, then, and if you got an ear to hear, and an eye to see, they see and hear, but hopefully the Father have chosen to understand. Because chapter 30 of Jeremiah is telling you about Jacob's trouble, what you guys should go through and how you should be saved out of it. Now, it is like black and white, okay? So all of mixing up Jacob's trouble It should not be that. Take the time and diligently read Jeremiah 30, okay, the whole chapter, KJV version, okay? Read it diligently and study for self-approval so you won't come up with all these notions of Jacob's trouble being what is not. It's simple, okay? All right, so chapter 30, KJV version, the header reads, in the last days, Judah and Israel shall be gathered to their own lands. David, their king, Christ shall reign over them. All right. Verse 1. And the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, right, gotta put my scarf on. I was trying to do my introduction. Don't forget, you guys, prophesy and pray. Okay. See, when he leads you, he leads you. He telling your sister, you got put your scarf on, my daughter. Put your covering on, my daughter. See? Very important. Okay. All right, so let's start this again, okay? So what I just did, take all that back, okay? That was out of order. We got to be in order. All right, so let's do it again. Chapter 30, Jeremiah, KJV version. This chapter has 24 verses. I'm going to read through it. Okay, and I'm just going to explain it. Instead of breaking every verse, I'm going to explain it because it's all talking about Jacob's trouble, and what Israel and Judah should experience in the last days. Again, chapter 30, the header. In the last days, Judah and Israel shall be gathered to their own lands. David, their king, Christ, shall reign over them. Verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, write thee all the words that I have spoken in this book. Or in a book, I'm sorry. For lo, the days come, said the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah, said the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus said the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doeth travel with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Verse 8, for it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, said the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save them from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, said the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. Yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, every one of them. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, said the Lord, because they call thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, who no man seeketh after. Thus said the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places. And the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgivings, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engaged his heart to approach unto me, said the Lord? Verse 22. And ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. Verse 23. Behold, the whirlwind of Lord goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. Verse 24, final verse. The fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it. So as you guys see, he just spoke about Jacob's trouble, right? In the latter days, Jacob's trouble is what? The gathering of Israel and Judah coming together, right? Now, he was very specific. The Father was very specific with Jeremiah 30, right? In regards to Jacob's trouble, right? Now, so we're going to scan through here, and I want to go to some of the verses to break it down for you. Now, okay, so verse 3, for lo, the days come, said the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah, said the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess thee. Right. So you guys see, basically it's saying the scattering, the restoration. You see how people come together and the unification, right? Throughout the four corners of the earth. Pay attention to Africa. Remember, Africa is the motherland. It is where we came from, right? Adam and Eve, right? Remember the four streams of water that flew through the Eve of garden, right? It's where we were created from, right? Adam and Eve, right? Israel, the Garden of Eden, right? That's where we started at, right? But during some time, Adam sinned and everything, then all descendants came about, and they continue to sin, right? And the Father became angry, right? And he scared us throughout the four corners, okay? But now we in a different era of time. Everything that happened in the ancient days, right, was what? Was already written during the Pharisees and scribes when they was reading it, just to understand. But the same now for the present days or the latter days. It's already written and prophesied, from the times of the old prophets and the servants, right? Just speaking it up. So now everything that's been done, everything that was said Jeremiah is taking place right now, and we are in the era time of Jacob's trouble. Now he said he would gather Israel and Judah. So now all that's been scattered are being gathered. Africa is going to become our stronghold, okay? Remember, because the whole world cannot perform the great falling away. Somebody got to stand, right? We already know it's prophesied how the world going to go against the Father, how it's going to be great falling away, and how you guys see what's going on. How the great falling away is basic and stands right now, because of course common sense will tell you if men be trying to come woman and woman be trying to come man, that is contrary to the Father's word and his fruits of multiplying. So what makes you think it will be contrary to the Father's word? And what makes you think it will be the great falling away? It's basically going against all the standards in the order. So of course it's the great falling away, okay? And now it is ripe, okay? Now the gathering is taking place because that came about. Because the whole agenda came about, yeah, that creates the building of the Antichrist that's going to come up. Antiochus IV that's coming back. Who was here before that's coming back? But he had to wait till the sin is right and is there. The great falling away is taking place. And now we're in Jacob's trouble. In that era of time, Judah and Israel is being gathered together. Okay, Jacob's trouble. Jacob's experienced trouble. He out there protesting and rising for unification to gather Israel, and it's coming together. And we got Africa as our stronghold, calling us back to go against everything to try to practice the Father's laws and commandments. Remember, that's how we come back. Okay, the Father said, He's gonna return us back to our own land, right? is taking place. So, and remember, the wicked will not understand. Those who's not wise, those who not trying to follow the Father will never understand what I'm saying. They will only go against me and try to persecute me, right? Because remember, the wicked will not understand, and that is written. Only the wise will understand what I'm talking about. That's why the wicked, 2/3 of them gonna fall. Remember, it's only gonna be a remnant of 130 because only the wise should understand, and not the wicked. They will not understand, but they will perish, and they will continue to perish because they continue to be caught up in that great falling away, which is out of order to defy the creation of its multiplication, of its to be fruitful, multiply. It is completely out of order, and it's upside down, and they have angered God, and that's okay because it was already prophesied. Remember, this had to take place before Jacob's trouble can become out of it, before we can return back to our own land, before we can be gathered. Everything that's happening, the great falling away, must take place because we got to be on our legs, crying out to the Father and going through so much because He knows when we go through so much and we just at our last end, we coming where? To the Father. And that's what He waiting on. Okay? And it's gonna happen, whether you like it or not. Okay? So, and it says, first verse 6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doeth travel with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman travail, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness, right? And what he just saying is, he see all the men, woo, they out there ready, protesting, trying to fight, right? Because the Father said, once He get the gospel throughout the world, He will come back. So now you see a lot of Hebrewites, or, a lot of Judah, they're trying to come together. Now, we do got some of them just out of order. We got some of them that's disrespectful. We got some of them that's taking the word in their own hand. You got some of them that's getting a glorification for themselves, right? But granted, you still got a lot of them coming together, right? Now, even though you got some that's not doing it the right way and some doing it the right way, in the end, they will still come together because we will unify, right? But the thing is, we being awakened. Remember, He said, the Father said, in 2 days, knowledge will increase, and they will run to and fro, will increase knowledge. So you see all these people on all these camps, people coming from out of nowhere, from all different countries, Judah and Israel, that's scattered throughout the 4 countries. We're coming from everywhere, and every form, fashion, away, and we're being united, right? Through Jacob's trouble, okay? With their hands on the loins, and they face paleness. The reason why they face so pale, because they're focused. They're so focused, and they're so tired of being oppressed, and they're so tired of being treated just unequal, and we know that. You understand? And believe you me, the reason why we've been treated unequal because we are Judah and Israel. It's written. Okay, so yes, it is our place to be oppressed, and to be treated in a certain way, as captivity, because it is part of the curse due to our disobedience of our ancestors not following the laws and commandments, right? So now, because of our ancestors not following laws and commandments, they done made it we in these generations, and man, we're trying to fight now, which is written. We're trying to fight now because we see as a whole now, and we are being awake. The veil has come off our eyes for the Father to make us see that in these latter days, we now must rise for restoration. And we must come together from all 4 corners of the earth and the islands of the sea to perform this restoration, right? That the Father, have already prophesied for us, right? Okay, so performance restoration with the man's lungs on there and looking pale, right? Because they're out there protesting and unifying everything, right? For restoration. So basically, like you say, he see every man with his hands on his lungs and their faces turn to paleness. It's because they out there protesting and fighting for their rights, okay? And fighting to execute and put back out there forth the laws and commandments. However, we got some doing it the right way. We got some doing it the wrong way. But keep in mind, it's still the gathering. Now, the Father will come and separate the wheat from the tares, but it is the gathering, okay? And we are being awakened. All right. And it say verse 7, at last for that day is gray, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he should be saved out of. So all you guys doing with your hands on your lungs and looking paleness and being focused out there, reuniting and unifying for restoration, you will be saved out of it. Now, granted that the Father wants you to come to him for the troubles, right? Because we see that when Israel stuck to the Father for, everything they was going through, he always saved them. It was no need for Jacob's trouble. I mean, you can see that with Elijah and Elisha, some of the greatest servants and the prophets you can see. Probably even with Jehu and everything, you can see it. When they was going for the Father and put the Father first, he protected them and saved them. So there's no need for Jacob's trouble, right? But then forward, fast, down, our essence, disobedient, forced us to become a part of Jacob's trouble in the latter days, right? And even though we're going through Jacob's trouble, the protesting, like I say, Jacob's trouble is protesting and a reunification out there rising. They're out there fighting and looting and everything because they're tired. They're tired of being oppressed. That is indeed Jacob's trouble. You will be saved out of it, okay? It is not done in vain. The Father see you out there. He see that you're tired of being oppressed. He see it, but it is Jacob's trouble, right? You will be saved out of it. But of course, if you go to the Father and stop going out there trying to do all those things and just put him first, he will save you anyway. Okay. All right. Verse 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. So you see, it's come to the point where, just prime example, what was that? The Alabama brawl. You see how people came from everywhere, even the people that swimming. Who said black people couldn't swim? Okay. You got them coming from everywhere. They came from everywhere, from the aisles, from the boat, from the water, right? Okay? So what did it say? I will break his yoke from off thy neck and will burst in thy bonds. You see? He's breaking the yoke off their neck and bursting in their bonds. You see how people just came together out of nowhere. All they seen is one thing, right? That was the sign of breaking the yoke and everything. They just seen that one person of Judah needed help. And Judah came to the rescue. And that's how it's going to be happening. That's how the gathering occurs, right? And that's what's going on. And you're going to see it's like going to be a chain reaction. Okay? It's going to be a domino effect. And you're going to see all the world coming together, scatter all the Israel and Judah that's scattered throughout the four corners of the world. You're going to see that's all going to start happening. Because remember, I told you guys in my videos, some videos, maybe probably almost a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, I told you guys, well, it was in the summer. I told you guys that we was going into a portal. That portal has already taken place. That portal is strong, and we're being awakened due to that portal, okay? And it's supernatural, okay? All right, let's see. Now, but they shall serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up to them. So basically, we can't use David as a kind of like a leeway, because we know David was the king of Judah and Israel, before they became a part, then, after Solomon, I think Rehoboam, who was Solomon's son, the one, no, was that Solomon's son? Oh my goodness. No, was it Rehoboam or Jeroboam? Well, after Solomon, the kingdom split up. Now, I used to know about her. I got to go look at it. I don't want to get the wrong name, but I know it was David, and then David's son, Solomon, and then Solomon's son, Rehoboam. Was it Rehoboam that split it up, or Jeroboam? But it was right during that time after Solomon. Okay. So now he just said it's going to reverse. Okay. So that same spirit of David is going to come back, with the spirit of a king, and we will raise up to him, as a messianic nation. That's all they're saying. What you guys see is all the the Judah and Israel that's scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? It's being gathered, right? And the spirit of the Most High, of David, of the king, is being risen amongst Judah and Israel to put that spirit out back into the world, right? So we can be led by that spirit, and everybody and all the Gentiles to follow us, okay? In the Most High Spirit. All right. So let's see. Therefore, let's do 10 too. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, said the Lord. Neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. So you see, it may not even be our generation, but just think about the Alabama brawl, okay? Now, that's already taking place, right? And it's being put out in the universe for the other generation to see, to follow, right? Okay, so he's telling you that's what's going on. The Alabama brawl has set a new day. Has set a new day. Have opened eyes. Okay, so basically now because that happened, unification continues to take place, and that's how we become safe from afar. That's how we're gonna be free from our captivity. That's how we will start to be in rest and be quiet, and none should make us afraid. So right now, back in the days, that same port that happened in, the Alabama brawl was one of the ports that the slaves was, transported on the port, right? So that same port came right on back, right? And created more history, to now to overcome what happened during the ancient days. See, the ancient days when they was putting them on the ports, putting the slaves on there, they were scared to defend one another. Now in the latter days, it is a new day. That same port that tried to treat that slave, and all the slaves came, right? You see? Don't mean to offend anybody with slaves. I'm just telling y'all a different era of time. Okay, let's just say all Judah. Back then Judah was scared when they was being transported, and they beat Judah, but none of Judah jumped in and helped. But now it's a new day. In the latter days, they jumped on Judah. The Gentiles all jumped on Judah, and Judah came from out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Because why? None shall make them afraid anymore. All right. So let's see. And let's see verse 11. For I am with thee, said the Lord, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether punished. So we still getting corrected. He won't leave us all together unpunished, right? Because of our ancestors, a lot of us are blind anyway. So, he don't follow us all the way, but he follow us because we do know right from wrong. Okay, so a lot of us are lost because of our ancestors and because of the program, the Gentiles in our mind. So for those, he do have a little bit of mercy on, right? But right now, knowledge is increasing, what knowledge will increase, running from and there. Oh my goodness, I forgot that. But knowledge is increasing, right? From here and there. Okay, so that's why he said that he would not make a full end of thee, but he will correct thee in measure, right? Because, of course, a lot of them didn't know. A lot of them are lost, right? But now we are being awakened, okay? And those who are not going to know about it, yes, you will be held accountable for. But those who still lost and don't understand, he are giving you guys mercy and grace, right? But he will not leave thee altogether unpunished, because at the end of the day, you still know right from wrong, all right? And there's enmity between evil and good, and you know that. All right, let's see. And what it say? For thus said the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. That's why he's going to leave you guys all together unpunished, because of thy wound, that bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. The Father is already grievous because of how we doing things and how we rejecting him and going with all these other guys and idolizing their ways of life. Okay, so that's why his wound is grievous and that bruise is incurable, because anytime you go put another God before the God, okay, and for generation after generation, and just steady stirring up his wrath, then it caused the Father to be grievous, and he look at your actions as incurable. Because, like I said, there's an enmity between evil and good, and we do know right from wrong, okay? All right, let's see whichever one. Okay, let's do 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for prey. So it's just based, this is still talking about the restoration and everything, all those that did put Judah in captivity will go back in captivity, okay? All those that did devour will be devoured and everything, okay? Those that were spoiled will be despoiled. He will give you a full praise like you was a prey. Okay, so yeah, just coming back when all the gathering take place and all the captivity take place. Those will be judged. The ones who put them in captive, they will be made captive, right? They will be judged. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's do 18. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's do 17 too. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, said the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, who no man seeketh out of, right? And it just made me think about that time when Joseph had died out, and everything. There's a new king came in Egypt. And they came, and told them, let's cut them off as a nation and everything, because Joseph died as a new king, and then they got scared because there was too many of Israel multiplying, and they said that they will take over. So they had to cut them off, and cut them out of remembrance of even being a nation, right? Basically, so this is Zion whom no man seeketh, right? Just calling them an outcast and everything, okay? So the Father just saying, even though, they did all this, and they called Israel and Judah outcast, saying this is Zion whom no man seeketh after, the Father will restore and he will heal us. So even though we're going through all this, and even though we're in Jacob's trouble, because it's written already, we're going to do it as him anyway, because it's our flesh, even though we be saved out of it, due to all the things we've been going through, we still have to just make sure we putting, the faith in our Father and not in ourselves and our own flesh, right? Because I know that the reason why we're doing these things is because how the people are treating us and what they saying to us. And, and for them to say, this is Zion whom no man seeketh after, and for that king of Egypt to go and put the Israel and Judah and vigorous, work, trying to wipe them out, wipe the whole nation out, trying to make them an outcast, trying to make Zion an outcast. That is a no, because the Father said we must blot out the sands of the sea. So even though they try to make us an outcast, and even though they try to say Zion, no man seeking after her, that's a lie, because they will all be seeking after us as a Messianic nation. All the Gentiles be following us, following our lead. We will be executing the laws and everything, because it is written that Judah will be executing the laws. Judah and Israel will be gathered together, and that's what's happening right now. Okay, so right now, yes, they trying to say that the Zion who no man seek it and is an outcast, but that's just already written. But that will be a reverse, because in the end, they're going to be trying to say we are the main cast, okay? They will be seeking after us, because they will know that what we say is true, right? As far as the follow laws and commandments, and they will start following them too. And he said, 18, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tent, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. So he's saying all the stuff all the unstable places, everything that's tore up and everything, that's been broken down and wasted, right? He will be building back up on the heap. So all those heap is basically just piling up on one another, just no good and none, just piling up. So all these things that's piling up, throughout this world, all these desolation places, all these wasted places will be rebuilded, right? On that heap, it will be rebuilded, right? And we will be brought back to in our ancient states, or our state. Well, they said Jacob's tents, which would still probably be equivalent to the land, right? In the ancient days, they was in tents. They were still in the cities and lands, but right now they get out here. Now they got the villages and the mountains. So it's this equivalent to the modern times, okay? But the Father said he will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, bring us back and have mercy on us and our dwelling places, right? And we in our dwelling place should be rebuilt on all that heap that the Gentiles caused us to be heaped upon, okay? And the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. So once he rebuild all these wasted places and gather Israel back together, bring us again to our captivity, have mercy on our dwelling places, right? From that point on, the manner thereof, on how he recaptures and recaptivated us, should continue to go forth. From that point on, it should not go back in reverse, but it should continue to move forward in the word of the Father, the Most High, continue in that manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgivings, and the voice of them that make merry, and I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. So you see, when that happened, what I just told y'all, we come back and, bring us out of captivity and have mercy on our dwelling place and rebuild everything upon the east and the manner thereof. Remember that manner thereof, what go forth. After that take place, when he rebuilt everything, right? Then should proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry, because we should be happy. We should be happy that all the stuff that's been going on to us has ended now, right? Trust and believe me. It is a great stress to know all the stuff that I experienced as Judah. I went through a lot. Just me being in the color of my skin, I went through a lot. Okay, and yes, you get fed up. I'm glad to know that the Father is going to reverse this. I'm glad to know that he will release us out of captivity. Once he releases us out of captivity and build upon these waste places and make us back like we used to, then from the manner moving forward after that, We should rejoice and we should proceed with thanksgiving and we should make merry. We should be multiplied and we should not be in few. We will also glorify the Father and we will not be small. We'll be huge. Okay? And verse 20, their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. So he's just saying, the children also should be as aforetime. Remember, just saying again, when Israel was a child, he loved them, right? Aforetime. Aforetime, it was happening, right? Something that insinuates something for the future. Something that gives you a timeline to follow. Something that you can learn off of and go forward. Something that was done, that set an example of that we need to learn right now today. Aforetime, okay? The children from aforetime set examples of how it should be done. So it will go back, right? He said their children also should be as aforetime. So it will restore. It will reverse. And the children, all the children right now with no value, talking about what's that, Generation Z or whatever them generations going on with no value, no love for God, and they can be girls and boys now at certain ages, right? I guess that generation got the pass, but don't forget that we still got that generation right before them, and the generation, the children about between 28 and 30, right? They are awake, okay? They're learning that life is of the living. So they learning to eat right and the fruits and the vegetables and not allow death to pass through their body. They learning that a lot of stuff that's going on is destroying us. And what we need is the living things to keep us apart, right? So that generation right now, it is setting examples. I'm not going to say the Generation Z, but the generation after, because I might not even be here to see it. But it's already taking place, right? It's already been put out in the universe so we can know. Okay? And let's go with... Okay, so verse 22, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God, okay? Verse 23, behold, the whirlwind of the Lord goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind, it shall fall with the pain upon the head of the wicked. So when the Father do come, and do the restoration, he's going to separate from the wheats of the tares. Remember, his whirlwind going to go forth with fury, right? It's going to fall, right? And it's going to send great pain to the head of the wicked, right? The head of the wicked, the people who don't understand, who's not going to understand, who is part of the great falling away, and going to continue to be part of the great falling away if they don't repent, okay? Because the Father come with that whirlwind with fury, okay? And verse 24, the last verse, the fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until he have done it, until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it. See? So right now, we in Jacob's trouble. We are rising. We in unification. We're trying to be gathered, right? We're trying to be gathered to get back in our own lands. We got Africa over there standing for the Father, right? Because that's the motherland. That's where it created. Remember, he said we should return back to our land, right? So we got Africa over there doing that part and everything. We got the people over here in the United States coming together, help Grant. Hey, example, Alabama Brawl. We got people everywhere coming on the clouds, the internet as witness, coming to put the word out. Spitting that knowledge for restoration, right? So all over the world is taking place, and we also got the great falling away taking place. So we got the great falling away taking place, going to contrary against the Father, trying to push things out of order, and we also got the gathering of Israel coming together, coming strong, right? So remember, that Messianic nation is going to go against the great falling away. That great falling away is going to create the Antiochus, the Antichrist, Antiochus 4, or Antiochus Epiphany, or Antiochus Epiphany, okay? Who was an illustrious Antichrist and who was a madman, okay? So that's what's taking place right now, the great falling away that's going to create Antiochus. And we also got those who have been awake, who are increasing knowledge, running from to and fro, who have been waking in these 2 days, right, to increase knowledge. Who have received this knowledge so it can make them free. Who is out there putting on a knowledge and edifying, teaching as the clouds on the internet together, okay? So we already in a state of war, okay? We got Israel right now, the gathering, going against the great falling away, which is the great falling away, who is going to create Antiochus 4, Antiochus Epiphany, or Antiochus Epiphany, which is the same person who is the Antichrist, okay? Now, And he said, all this got to go on because it is part of the fear, anger of the Lord, right? And all this got to take place. The great falling away. The men becoming women. The women becoming men. Israel out there protesting, unifying, rising for restoration. Everybody out there trying to speak the word and teach the truth to awake the people. Remember, all of it is a part of what's going on. The fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until he have done it and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days, ye shall consider it. Yes, in the latter days, ye shall consider it. All this happening is supposed to happen right now. And right now we're in Jacob's trouble. Okay. You guys, I hope what I just read to you guys and broke down to you guys, bring you guys clarification. Bring you guys clarification as far as Jacob's trouble, as far as the great falling away, as far as restoration, and as far as the Father separating the wheat from the tares, and as far as the Father's fierce anger, not being returned until he had performed the intent of his heart. And as far as you knowing that it will happen in the latter days, and you guys knowing that right now we are in the latter days, we are in an era time of Jacob's trouble. All right, you guys. This is Jacob's trouble. I had to break it down. Now you guys know what Jacob's trouble is, okay? All right, you guys. Love y'all. Bye now.